Welcome back to the Explainer. Today, we're stepping onto a battleground, but not a historical one. This is a battle happening literally right above our heads. We're going to use Lake Magdalene and the local experts at Crestline Roofing Tampa as our blueprint to figure out exactly how extreme Florida weather relentlessly attacks homes. And more importantly, we're going to look at how you can actually survive it.
Okay, let's dive into this. 160 degrees. Now that is not an oven setting. That is the staggering temperature that roof surfaces in Central Florida can easily hit on a typical summer afternoon. Your roofing materials are just baking up there under the relentless sun.
And you know what? That intense heat is really just the beginning. Think about it. What happens to a house when it faces the highest lightning strike density in the entire United States, plus 130-mile-per-hour winds? The weather down here acts as the ultimate antagonist. It's combining intense UV rays, sideways wind-driven rain, and frequent lightning into an absolute perfect storm of deterioration. Which brings us to Section 1, Florida's extreme weather threat, or the perfect storm of deterioration.
To really understand just how brutal this environment is, consider this. Asphalt shingles in Central Florida age 30% faster than they do in northern states. 30%. So what works perfectly well up north degrades at this incredibly accelerated rate when it's exposed to the extreme UV radiation and intense afternoon downpours in a place like Lake Magdalene.
Let's move on to Section 2, Why Lake Magdalene Roofs Fail, and the Science of Structural Stress. So one of the biggest invisible threats here is something called thermal cycling. Remember that 160-degree temperature we just talked about? Well, at night, it rapidly cools off by 40 degrees. And this brilliantly illustrates the problem, because this daily cycle of extreme expansion and contraction literally destroys the asphalt compounds. The shingles are basically forced to keep moving, which causes them to break down, curl, and crack way before their time.
So how do you actually know if this is happening right above you? Well, here are a few visible warning signs of a failing roof. First, look for granules collecting in your gutters. That's a huge red flag. Once those granules wash away, the underlying mat of the shingle is exposed to highly accelerated UV damage. You might also notice those curling or buckling shingles we just mentioned, water stains on your ceilings, maybe even daylight peeking through up in the attic, or in severe cases, sagging roof decks.
But it's not just the broad, flat surfaces you have to worry about. It's the tiny details. For example, rubber pipe collars. They crack after just 5 to 7 years in the Florida heat. That is a surprisingly short lifespan for such a crucial component. These little penetration points are basically the roof's Achilles heel. Something as small as a cracked rubber collar can literally funnel water straight down the pipe and into your home, which leads to massive, super expensive interior water damage.
All right, Section 3, Surviving High-Velocity Hurricanes and Engineering Against the Wind.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that not all roofs are created equal when a hurricane hits. If you're going with asphalt shingles, you need highly specific ones, like ASTM D7518 Class H-rated shingles, just to withstand those 110 to 130 mile-per-hour winds, while also offering algae-resistant granules for the intense humidity. But if you look beyond asphalt, options like metal roofing or concrete tile can push that wind resistance to 140 miles per hour and beyond. Plus, they bring added benefits like reflecting the sun's heat or allowing air to circulate.
And it's not just about what you put on the roof, it's how you attach it. Florida code actually mandates 6 fasteners per shingle, instead of the standard 4 used across most of the rest of the country. This strict local building code is absolutely critical to stop the wind from lifting your roof off. The scary part? Many older homes from the 70s and 80s in established neighborhoods completely lack these enhanced attachment patterns, which makes them incredibly vulnerable during a storm.
There's also a pretty fascinating contradiction in the local building codes. Get this. Ice and water shields are required in roof valleys. Now wait a minute. Florida never sees ice, right? So why on earth is this mandatory? Well, it's because this self-sealing membrane actually acts as a crucial secondary barrier against that horizontal, sideways, wind-driven tropical rain. During a hurricane, that rain will violently push its way right under standard flashing if this shield isn't there to stop it.
Moving on to Section 4, the professional roofing process and defeating the elements.
So how do the pros handle this? Crestline uses a really straightforward, transparent, 3-step process. First up is a thorough inspection, often using thermal imaging to hunt down any hidden moisture. Second is the actual professional installation, which doesn't just meet the building code, it exceeds it.
And third is the final inspection and warranty issuance. But what really sets this apart is the team actually doing the work. They use direct, English-speaking employees with current licensing, no random subcontractors. And that's exactly how you ensure total quality control at every single step of the build.
Let's move to and see how this builds on a timeline. Now, replacing a roof honestly sounds like a month-long nightmare, right? But a typical rapid replacement actually takes just 1 to 3 days. Day 1 is a complete tear-off down to the decking. Day 2 is installing all that high-performance underlayment and the new materials. And Day 3, that's the final cleanup, complete with magnetic sweeps to catch any stray nails or fasteners that might have ended up in your yard. But wait, you might be thinking, couldn't we just slap some new shingles right over the old ones to save time and money? Well, while building codes technically allow 1 layer of new shingles over the old ones, it is a terrible idea in Florida. Adding layers traps heat, stresses your home's structure with a ton of extra weight, and worst of all, it totally hides rotting wood and hidden water damage. A complete tear-off is literally the only way to uncover and fix those foundational issues that a cheap patch job would just completely miss.
Finally, let's head into Section 5, protecting your home investment through maintenance and warranties.
Now, when it comes to your homeowner's insurance, here's what you need to know. Policies generally cover sudden accidental storm damage, but they will absolutely deny claims if the damage is just from normal wear or poor maintenance. And more importantly, insurance companies often depreciate roofs that are older than 15 to 20 years. That is exactly why proactive biennial inspections, we're talking spring and fall, are absolutely critical in this climate to catch small issues early. Oh, and definitely don't ignore that last point. Proper attic ventilation doesn't just lower your cooling costs, it actually stops your roof from baking from the inside out.
There's an old industry saying that goes, manufacturer material warranties mean absolutely nothing without proper installation. So the crucial point is this. You can go out and buy the most expensive, hurricane-rated, impact-resistant shingles on the market, but if the contractor cuts corners and doesn't use that required 6-fastener pattern, those premium shingles are still going to blow right off in a storm. Your materials absolutely have to be backed by a rigorous workmanship guarantee.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question for today. Knowing all the invisible threats of daily thermal cycling and the looming, very real possibility of 130-mile-per-hour winds, is your roof truly ready for the next tropical storm? It's something every single Florida homeowner needs to deeply consider. Your roof is your home's very first line of defense. Please don't wait for a leak in your living room to find out it's compromised. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.